Hello, everybody. Happy Halloween, my favorite time of the year. So, we have a theme outside. And of course, it's Nightmare Before Christmas because me and Mr. Eve are obsessed. And Miss Minerva, my cat, the justice cat, little bundle of joy, decided to climb up said Jack decoration. He stands about 9 feet tall, I believe. And she took it upon herself to take Jack down. So he's dead. Sorry, guys. So we're just having a great time with that. Mr. Eve is putting out the rest of the decorations as we speak. So that's what we're doing today. Other than that, 13 feet, excuse me, not 9. Got it. Hello, Mr. Eve. Hi, Birdie's crime chat. Birdie's crime chat. Can't speak today. I had no idea of some of the similarities between Michael and Summer's case until I rewatched the Shurtliff interview. Would love your take on it. Well, that's what we're doing today. That's for sure. Hi, Julia T. Yay, you're awake. No replay crew. Woohoo. I know. That thing was expensive, too. Oh, well. The show must go on, right? We'll have fun. So, I wanted to show you something that recently came to me by someone who has helped tremendously clear up a lot of things in the Michael Vaughan case that is around the case, rather. And so there was a TikTok that was posted by Wandra's Lube LLC, which is Stacy and Sarah Wandra's at one time oil changing business in Ontario, Oregon. So they posted this video on the day Michael went missing, and everybody was having a hard time. Even locals were having a hard time figuring out exactly where this location was. Well, with the help of someone very close, thank you so much to that person. I won't be outing them today or anything. Hi, Juniper's Tarot and Astrology. Glad you're here. We found it. After a lot of brainstorming and Google Maps searching, my God, it took forever. But we got it. And I'm very surprised because it was in a location that actually I thought it was somewhere else. I was convinced. And the hours upon hours of searching for this area, we just had to go a little bit further. So once I get that uploaded, you know how I have a hard time with uploads when I go live? I don't know why. from my phone to my computer. It works any other time. But I will upload that and we'll review it and see what you think if we got it, which I know we did, but you never know. There might be some naysayers out there. All right, so I'm waiting for that to upload. The last live that I did, we were going over Brandon Shurtliff's interview that JLR did, and kind of correcting the misinformation that was put out there because I think things were taken out of context. You can go watch that live. I'll put the link in shortly. But at the end of the day, I mean, for instance, the milk. You only get milk for babies. Well, that's not true. We get milk for lots of things. Some people drink it. Some people use it to cook. Sometimes we forget. So, him going to the store, the gas station to get milk, whether it be on the way back from wherever he said he was coming from, I think is Brandon Shurtliff, his mom's, to tow the Mercedes. Those are the kind of little details that I think we're stressing too much out on. We actually need to listen to what he's saying and see if where he said he was holds merit, right? That's the whole point. Not to mention, there are cameras all around that would prove or disprove what he is saying is true or not. Now, I know that, with the geofencing data, sometimes that can be skewed, but I'm sure that they could figure this out, right? Like, I'm sure of it. If they can't, that's really strange. So we did go over, I wasn't able to upload the last live, something that I was touching up on. So there was and I just wanted to finally show you guys now that I have the screenshot to prove it. So there was a unknown Hispanic man who was around, doing the taxis when Michael Vaughan went missing. I'm not sure exactly what date. Brandon didn't specifically say, but he said, around that time. And I found, while searching, as I do, the sleuth that I am, and others too, this Alex guy stated, that he, earlier in the case when it just broke that Michael went missing, his parents worked with Brandy's in Ontario, and I'm assuming that would be the Heinz Orida factory that she has spoken about. But she hasn't worked there in a while. But anyway, here was the screenshot of what he said. So much hate. I wish I never met this guy back in July 2021. I'm glad he's on the run and never really hit me up. I'd ignore his messages. He'd argue with his mom on the phone about losing his job a lot, etc. I remember everything at the Mexican homie truck and the hotel. His dumbass did meth before he did weed. He told us, which is very odd. Like, this whole thing is odd. Last time we were all together at Sun Valley, Idaho, Twin Falls, Idaho, was July 23rd and 24th, 2021, summer of Sun Valley Car Show. This was before Michael disappeared. Trippy. My younger Mexican homies met him at the cornfield job. Now, that's a lot, right? But, and I can't tell you, if this is true or not. This is what I can tell you he said. And there was a few other posts. The other post that I have, it says 2022, but it reiterates kind of the same thing. So it's very odd. Very odd. Oh, can y'all hear me? Oh, there we go. Sorry, my headphones died. Or shut off. That was weird. But we're back. So the other interesting thing that I wanted to say is that North Dakota Lost and Missing posted on December 1st that Brandon Shurtliff may have changed his appearance from the picture law enforcement released at the press conference. He is wanted for questioning. It kind of made him seem like, you need to be on the lookout, like a bolo kind of thing. And that's not what they were asking. They had already spoken to Brandon at this point. They didn't clarify whether you needed to call on him or not. But, JD Huff stated, We have spoken to him and everybody. Adrian, they have contacted us. Thank you for your help. So, I also wanted to show you guys, if I can find it, a screenshot of what Tina, Brandon's mother, said about, his involvement and all that stuff. Give me just a second. Still not posting. I hate Discord sometimes. I really do. So, what do you think about that? Like, I don't know. He just keeps saying, I was there around, but not there. Maybe he knows, this Alex guy knows who that other missing the person that isn't named, because Brandon has a hard time remembering the name of this Hispanic guy. So maybe this guy knows. Well, unfortunately, I think he's locked up. So I could be wrong, but I did send a message saying, hey, if you know anything, or, if you haven't already, please contact Fruitland Police and let them know anything. But I'm sure he has, or I'm sure they contacted him. But I just wanted to, send that message to be like, hey, follow up if you haven't, right? That would be the right thing to do. I also wanted to show you guys this before we jump into the interview, the rest of the interview. A lot of people speculate on the neighbor, meaning the Starkeys, the one that's directly next to the Wanderer's home. So Alexander Duggan is a reporter. I think she moved on from KTVB, but she stated at the time of around the time of the excavation in November of 2022 that Chief Huff called her and said there was some info about the neighbor's yard was mixed in with the credible tip that led to Wandra, because the neighbor's yard will be searched with radar. The dogs did not alert on the neighbor's yard. They are being cooperative. All right. So the dogs did hit on human remains. They couldn't have hit on Michael's remains, potentially a confirmation, unless they had that scent already of Michael's, which means they would have had, evidence that they found Michael somewhere, or at least his remains elsewhere first. So that's probably unlikely, correct? So this is probably just any kind of human remains, which dogs can hit on anything 25 years plus. So it could be from that day to all the way up to a long time ago. It just depends, on the dog and stuff like that. So we don't know for sure if it's Michael's remains. And Idaho is one of those states, kind of like I think Utah, where people used to bury their loved ones in their front yard, or like Tennessee, right? You could bury your loved ones in your backyard or front yard at one point, right? Without any issues, as long as it wasn't nefarious in nature and it wasn't criminal and it wasn't a child. So there's that. So I just wanted to clear that up, because a lot of people think that the neighbors weren't being cooperative and that they are complicit in some way with the dogs hitting on their backyard, which is not true. I did find a TikTok video. If there's any locals in the chat, or watching the replay, please comment where you think this potentially is. I think that it is under the bridge, the Ontario Fruitland border. I could be wrong, but if anybody knows, please let me know. But that's where I think it is. Let's listen. This is from Wanderers Lube LLC TikTok again. Can y'all hear that? Let me put one in the chat if you can hear that. I wasn't sure if y'all could. I'll play that again. But it's out of my control. You'll be left in the dust unless it's stuck by you. You're a sunflower. I think your love will be too much, or you'll be left in the dust unless it's stuck by you. Yeah, it looks like a dam or a bridge. I just don't know where it is, and I'm going to shut the music off. But this was posted in July of 2021. I'm not exactly sure what day because I wasn't able to capture that. Definitely by the river. A river. Could be Payette, could be, it looks like a dam, but it also just looks like a bridge. And if there's a gas station right here, I think it's that Route 64. Let me look at chat. Does Brandon have a sister named Lisa? No, I don't think so. Maybe, but I just know that there's one named Megan for sure. But I don't know where this is. I just don't know. So maybe if someone again knows this area, let me know. Very interesting. You could also email me at eveeptalk@gmail.com. All right. What else do I have before we jump into? Oh, so I wanted to also bring up this post that I found from Sarah and Wandra on August 2nd, 2021. It says, boy missing from around my neighborhood. And it's, basically says, please be on the lookout. And I believe she got this from the missing persons awareness page. And she also posted, I think, another one. So it doesn't look too suspicious to me, but I just wanted to put that out there. Also, I found that she does a lot of reviews on Google and Facebook. And I did find that, like random ones, but in May, she was at this Frutos Locus place. If anybody might know or trigger a memory that they saw her there, maybe there was something odd. I don't know. It was in May of 2021, which is not when Michael was missing, and I know that, but just saying that these are kind of some of the places that she frequented. There is also one I think it's Black Ridge Road. Hold on, let me Google it. Birdie says Hispanic male with a J name, but not Jesus or Caesar. Right. And I thought it was Jose. So the first thing that I thought of was either Jose, Julian, or something like that. Joe, potentially. That's what I was thinking too, Birdie. So good point. Yep. He didn't really go into much, but he also said that there was a Randy guy from North Carolina that was hanging around. He was trying to get his RV fixed. It had broken down. But we're going to get into that in a minute. But I just thought that there's so many people. There's so many people that have been in and out of that home. It's very hard to pinpoint. And I do believe, when JD Huff said, we are looking for people who may have knowledge, outside of the four that know what happened to Michael or maybe have some information they can provide. I can see why they might have a hard time figuring out who the hell was in and out of that house, because I have personally looked at least 10, including Tanner Butler, which I've gone over many times, and we're about to go over a few more. The sushi chef Wilder guy from 2020 who passed away right after Michael went missing. It's nuts. So I think it was Black Canyon Ridge, Idaho. I think that's the name of it. It's a fishing spot that a lot of people like to go to. I don't know if it's in New Plymouth or Payette. Something like that. I had it on my phone and now I can't find it. Black's Bridge, maybe. Yeah, here it is. So there's another place that she frequented. Let me go to the reviews. So this is kind of the things that sleuths do, is go and see who all was in what areas and all of that stuff. Good place to fish and swim. Derek White was there 3 years ago. Jenny Hendrickson, she comes up a lot. I don't know why. Let's try to find this. Curtis White comes up all the time. Every time I search for something, he's there. But he's for local, so that makes sense. And so does this Elijah Whitting guy. 2 years. Good place to fish, swim, and launch a boat. All right. Come on, Sarah. Where's your... There it is. A year ago. Good place to fish. Where's her reviews? It just said that she wrote a review and now it's saying this person hasn't written any. Well, what? I don't think so. It says 28 reviews right here. Did they take them down and they just forgot to take them completely off? Whoops. Whoopsie daisy. Anyway, she also has been to the Red Diamond Saloon or whatever, the one that Grandpa Bob frequents. Sundance Saloon, rather. But the Double Back Diamond Bar in New Plymouth. I mean, she's been to basically the same kind of places that Brandy and Tyler worked at or have frequented or have been to. It's local, so I get it. It's not a huge deal. But it was just very odd to me that, like, you know, somebody would be posting reviews like it's nothing, like Brandon Shurtliff does all the time. All the time. Wild. Was there anybody else that I was like, that's weird? I don't think so. Anyway. That's really, really odd that her reviews aren't coming back up. Because there was a bunch of them. As you can see. One more, and then I swear we'll get to the JLR interview. There was a weird Facebook that was Sarah's old Facebook, I believe. And it was shut down. But when I went to research it, it was created on the same day that they added this friend, Kayla Sporn. Okay. This is a real person. This is an actual person who has a very lengthy history. Let me tell you, a very, very lengthy criminal history. Very scary. I don't want anybody contacting this person or thinking they should go sleuth it. But I just thought that this was very interesting that on the same day this was created, Sarah Wanderer was in jail. And you can find this information by putting it into a social media program that gets all of the data, the metadata. You can even do this on the Google metadata if you have like a membership like I do, and get all of the information extracted, just like when it was created and all that. It was created when she was in jail. She got out the next day, which I thought was very interesting. That this was created, and then Kayla Sporn pops up, who is very different. Did she potentially meet this person in jail? I don't know. I don't know. But I just thought that was very interesting, to say the least. How can you be in jail and create this? Did Stacy Wonder, did somebody else create this to mess with her? I don't know. we do know, I know that there's a police report that somebody was harassing Sarah um, in 2021 and in 2022, rather, with, photos of herself that she had shared before, saying that if you don't, shut up or do whatever or respond to me, I'm going to expose your photos. So, like, I really feel like for some reason in my heart that this girl, Sarah, especially Sarah Wandra, was targeted maybe, or that she was definitely messed with by somebody that maybe JD Huff was speaking about that knows what happened to Michael. Maybe there's somebody around Sarah Wandra or the Wandras who are, excuse my language, fucking with them. All right. It's very, very weird. And it happens. It's happened in cases. Definitely. The whole setup thing. And I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm saying it's a potential thought, right? Birdie says, yes, North Carolina connection. They mentioned Dorchester, someone from there, or they traveled there. I thought it was weird when CB mentioned Boston and prank call to Don Wells' sis. Right, right. Very strange. Very strange. Okay, so let's get into the interview. Again, probably not going to get through the entire thing. But let's talk about some,
And
the
then I
important
switched
stuff.
to Liberty Mutual and saved hundreds. I know, exactly.
Ghirardelli chocolate chips makes baking a bite.
Good old ads.
Definitely Rich's investment.
I just know that he was Adrian and he had like kind of an afro, and we went and yes, sir, that's correct.
So where's that come into play here?
Shout out to Jonathan Lee Riches for allowing me to review this interview. Please like and share this, please, so that not only can I get Rep JLR who interviewed this guy, no matter what your thoughts are on him, but please, give him some support for that.
So I asked them earlier that day if we could use their pickup to go to my house, my mom's house, and get my Mercedes Benz a little bit, and then I think he got like an iPad, or he was trying to get a new iPad, I think.
That's Adrian. All right, so where was Stacy during all of this?
He was back at the house.
So Stacy said, you think Stacy stayed home all that day? Stayed home?
We left him there at the house. I don't know if he stayed there the whole time or not, to be honest.
Was anyone else there with him?
I don't think so. I think it was just him home alone at that point. And that was before we went to tow.
And they had dogs and cats there?
Yes, sir. Yeah, they had one hound dog and like 3 or 4 tuxedo cats.
So Stacy's there. You guys go out. What was Adrian doing at the mall?
He was just visiting his girlfriend and his son. And then after that, we went over to Macy's and kind of went in there and shopped around for clothes a little bit. And we were playing on our iPads and just taking pictures, goofing off.
All right, so they went to the mall in Nampa and they said they went to Macy's. Now, a lot of people were screaming that Macy's was shut down due to COVID at the time. So I'm going to research Macy's in Nampa, Idaho, and see kind of maybe there's something that I can get from that. Clear up some things. So it looks like there's a Boise Town Square in Boise. Macy's, Nampa, Idaho. Last updated October 2023. Sometimes these review comments will say this was closed this day, da 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 da. So this one says Boise. Can't be that. New business coming to former Macy's location in Nampa. So let's listen to this. This will clear up some things. Boom. So it used to be, but now it's not anymore. So there might be some truth to that. So there's the old Macy's building. If you live in Nampa, you may recognize this location. This is a former Macy's building, and on March 7th, I will be making an official announcement of who the new tenant for this location will be. The new tenant for this particular building could very well be the first of its kind. Da 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 da. All right.
Have you ever wondered what has been replacing some of these former department stores? If you live in Nampa, Idaho, you may recognize this location. This is a former Macy's building, and on March 7th, I will be making an official announcement of who the new tenant for this location will be. The new tenant for this particular building could very well be the first of its kind in America. In the past decade, we've seen a massive increase in these department store and mall vacancies because of the rise in online shopping. You might be surprised to learn who's actually moving in to some of these sad and abandoned buildings. The new tenants for some of these locations have ranged from schools to dentist offices, malls across the area for students. In about an hour, Idaho was repurposed into a charter school, and part of the mall's parking lot was converted into an outdoor, putting them into distribution centers. But in some cases, a dead mall or department store is simply sold as land. One of the former 70,000 square foot Sears store at the Grand Teton Mall in Idaho Falls, Idaho was repurposed into a charter school, and part of the mall's parking lot was converted into an outdoor play and recreation area for students. And about an hour away in Chubbuck, Idaho, another charter school opened up in a former Sears store at the Pine Ridge Mall. So what do you think? Do you have ideas as to how these buildings should be repurposed? And what would you like to see replace these dying malls and retail centers?
All right. So it was repurposed. So that was February 28th of 2022 that they came out with that video. So there's video evidence that it was at least closed at that time. So the Idaho Statesman, Macy's to close a Nampa store. Right there in 2017. So, Macy plans to close its department store at the Nampa Gateway Center. So that's the name of the mall. Just want you to kind of see how I'm getting this information so you can't say,
That's not right.
permanently closed, it says. That's wild. That's sad. So when did it permanently close? Let's look. Ghost town. The whole shopping center looks like a ghost town with all the empty stores 4 years ago. Well, the best thing here was the movie theater, and they got rid of that. So there was active stores inside. It was just that Macy's was closed. So maybe they meant... So, okay. There is a mall where I'm from that we would call... it was in Tyler, Texas, about 40 minutes away from where I'm from. And we would call it the Broadway Mall because it was off of Broadway. And there was a store, there was a sign that said Broadway, but then they changed it to Dillard's. So we would still call it the Broadway Mall. I'm going to go shopping at the Broadway Mall. But it was actually not called that. It was something else. So I kind of understand maybe he just meant we went to the Macy's because that's what everybody called it. I've done that before. So I'm not putting a lot of stock in like, you couldn't have gone to Macy's. It was closed. And I'm not making excuses for him being an idiot or anything. I'm just saying, like, I don't think that scrutinizing that makes sense to me because I've said that. For instance, like a Pizza Hut from where I was from is now a Mazio's. Or no, it's switched, excuse me. We had a store that was called Mazio's, but then it became a Pizza Hut. And I would still call it, and to this day I still call it Mazio's. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm getting at. But let's continue. The Nampa Gateway Center is a major shopping and entertainment destination. Do. Oh, this looks like a like one of those what's it called? Realtors trying to be like, you should come here. So let's see. A year ago, Jabbers is the best place. So there are open, businesses inside that mall. And I bet you Macy's was like the main entrance, just like Dillard's is for others. You know what I'm saying? Great atmosphere, excellent food. Visited gluten-free Galaxy, custom baked cakes. Yeah, so there's things to do in there. This is a busy place, many dining places, etc. Jimmy John's and a Starbucks is nearby. The Fred Meyer's is awesome. So sad I didn't get the stores we heard would be located here when it went in. The theater is very nice. It's great to have a J.C. Penney's in Nampa. So there's a J.C. Penney's 4 years ago. So maybe that's what he meant. I don't know. I don't know. All right. Well, let's move on. See, I thought it was the Karcher Mall in Nampa. That's what I thought it was. So maybe it is. Let's see. Let's look at that mall just to make sure. Maybe I got it wrong. There's Village Square. Reviews is what I'm looking for. Just want to make sure that we, know what we're talking about. I told you I was going in depth in this shit. I meant what I said. February 2nd, 2022, Karcher Mall adds more than 250 apartments near retail. Let's listen. Maybe it would load.
You're going to see some big changes to the former Karcher Mall. Construction is happening all over Nampa, and more major projects are on the way. The city held a groundbreaking ceremony earlier this morning. Our Shira Matsuzawa joining us in studio now with a look at this new housing project and the changes that people can expect to see. Shira.
Well, Morgan, folks might remember back in 2019 when we first reported that a new owner planned to revitalize the shopping center. Then in 2020, crews began demolishing more than 120,000 feet of mall space. And today,
doesn't sound like it could be Karcher Mall because it obviously was being remodeled. So, and she just said 2019, so it ain't that. Wow. So, maybe, I don't know. Maybe Brandon is either lying, incorrect about the area, or he just said Macy's because that's what everybody knows it as. Because I do believe Macy's was there forever. From some local that told me that, but let's move on.
And then from there, we go back, and then that's how it goes.
Well, what about the afternoon from the mall to you going back to the neighborhood? Did you guys go anywhere else? Stop anywhere else?
We just went over to a pawn shop, I think, just kind of look around at the pawn shop a little bit. And then I think he bought like an iPad, or he was trying to get a new iPad, I think.
That's Adrian, right?
Right. Yes, sir. And then I think he bought one there. We went to the pawn shop, bought an iPad, and then came back and we were just chilling.
So what car were you guys all in?
We were in that little Toyota 2016 Toyota Corolla.
Okay, what is that? What color is it? White?
It's the blue one.
A blue. Okay.
Yeah.
And I remember you were telling me that they were towing your car. You told me earlier in another conversation that your car was being towed by their truck that day.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So where's that come into play here?
I asked them earlier that day if we could use their pickup to go to my house, my mom's house, and get my Mercedes Benz and tow it back over there so I could work on it if I was going to be hanging out over there doing the taxi business.
Yeah. So when did you guys go over there to get your car?
I think it was around like 6 or 7 at night.
6 or 7. Then you're saying
So they're saying at 6 or 7 at night, they went to go get that vehicle, which I'm going to admit conveniently is around the time that Michael Vaughan is reported, or not reported missing. He's not reported missing until 7:21 p.m., but in between 6:40 and 7 is the alleged time that Michael Vaughan is abducted. Excuse me. So where does he live? Where does his mom's house live? Kuna, Idaho. So let's take a look at where that is on the map versus Michael's home, to get this out of the way so that we can get that timeline as close as possible to what he's saying. Doesn't mean that it's true, right? Just means that that's what he's saying. So the reason why I know this address is only because of public record. So this is Quakers Lane. I believe it's this one. I'll know by the map. Hold on, let me go back. So this is Kuna, Idaho. Hi, Hellcat. Glad you're here. Just reviewing the Brandon Shurtliff. Definitely check out the previous stuff that I went over, because it's probably something you can answer, especially about the Nampa, the Macy's. The Macy's is definitely something I want to kind of confirm. I do believe it's this one. But I swore it was Snowbell. So ironic that they took the pictures down from 2022 and 2021. What's that all about? What y'all hiding over there? Yep. So that is the house. Nothing crazy, but this is from 2011. Wild. All right. Nothing to see here, but that's the area. So let's get directions to 911 Southwest 9th Street in Fruitland. So it looks like if they take I-84, it's 50 minutes. So it's going to be, let's just say 50 minutes to an hour. So if it was at 6 o'clock, he could be coming into the neighborhood at 7 p.m. If he left, like 6:30, it'd be 7:30. If he went over there at 7, it'd be 8. Let's just say if he was in Fruitland, Idaho, but he was allegedly in Nampa, goofing off, doing stuff. That's 20 minutes. So from Nampa to Kuna is 20 minutes. So we don't know what time he or where he was when he left straight to go to the from the mall maybe to Kuna. I don't know. Let's maybe listen again and see if he says it.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So where's that come into play here?
I asked them earlier that day if we could use their pickup to go to my house, my mom's house, and get my Mercedes Benz and tow it back over there so I could work on it if I was going to be hanging out over there doing the taxi business.
Yeah. So when did you guys go over there to get your car?
I think it was around like 6 or 7 at night.
Okay, so he had to have gone back to the house at 1102 Red Wing, which is only a minute drive from Michael's house to get the truck. What truck is it? Well, I'm not exactly sure, but I think I have a guess, potentially. It's either one of two. All right. So this is the neighbor. Sorry, Carson. I don't mean to put your business out there, but it is public. So this is the neighbor right next to them. Here's Brandon's van. He has a Mercedes and he has a van. All right. Right here is the van. This is in March of 2021. There is a green truck right here that Carson was trying to sell. 4-wheel drive. It has side boxes in the back. The interior is not so good. It runs good. Asking $1,500 or best offer. It says that it was sold right after Michael Vaughan went missing. So I believe it said August 16th or something. I could be wrong on the day, but it did get sold after that, from my understanding, from what the Facebook said, because it would tell you when you click on it and open it up. So I might go check that out and just make sure. Hold on. It would be wise because we want to make sure this is accurate as possible so there's no questions. And of course, when we nail things down, I'll make a video that kind of summarizes this stuff. But again, it's going to either be this truck or the red one that's in the background. So there is a truck down here in the back that's parked along the side of the house, and it's a maroon truck, and it has like one of those equipment holder things. I don't know what they're called. Mr. Eve might, if he's still listening. But it's kind of a beat up maroon truck. So let's listen to, maybe there's some more information Brandon can give us on it.
Six or seven. Then you're saying while you're coming back, that's when you noticed everyone searching for Michael?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I remember going to the gas station. We were probably at the gas station filling up right at 7.
Right at 7. What gas station?
There's the Chevron right there just up from their house.
Yeah. To get your car. Being towed by their truck that day.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So where's that come into play here?
I asked them earlier that day if we could use their pickup to go to my house, my mom's house, and get my Mercedes Benz and tow it back over there so I could work on it if I was going to be hanging out over there doing the taxi business.
Yeah. So when did you guys go over there to get your car?
I think it was around like 6 or 7 at night.
6 or 7. Then you're saying while you're coming back, that's when you noticed everyone searching for Michael?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I remember going to the gas station. We were probably at the gas station filling up right at 7.
Right at 7. What gas station?
There's the Chevron right there just up from their house.
Yeah. So where you were seeing people out there looking for Michael, or you were seeing police?
I was just seeing police cars cruising around, and I was seeing a lot of like the neighbors going out in their cars cruising.
So then he goes to the gas station to get some milk and whatever else. So he could have gone in after towing to go do that, but he was busy, I'm assuming, and went and towed to the house and then goes to the store. So depending on what time exactly that he gets back to from the tow, well, actually, I can't, that's not true, because he said in the interview that they were coming into the Southwest 8th Road where they were stopped in tow with his Mercedes. So he had to have gone to the store either on the way or after they dropped off the vehicle. So I'm assuming that it was when he dropped off the vehicle. I'm pretty sure it's after that at the house at 1102 Red Wing. So let's listen.
Around, and just like the whole subdivision from the left side to the right side, they were all just out, everybody walking around and looking, and flashlights, search and rescue was there, police, everything.
But how did you know they were looking for Michael?
Because so when we were pulling into the subdivision, Sarah was driving the pickup, and she stopped and talked to the neighbor that was coming down the road the opposite way.
Mm-hmm.
And she stopped right there in the middle of the road, and they both opened their doors and they started talking to each other right there.
Okay. And you told.
So he said that they had come into the neighborhood and stopped because a neighbor from, I'm assuming, Hidden Meadows was coming down that they knew, and stopped and said, "Hey, have you seen this little boy?" So if they were searching, allegedly Tyler calls 911 at 7:21 p.m. Here's the ironic thing, sidebar. When I asked Alex Dugan to correct some information from a February 2023 article that they did, they stated that, and I'm not kidding, I have proof on this, that Brandy came home, couldn't find Tyler, or Tyler and Brandy could not find Michael, and then they called 911. So I messaged Alex and said, that is a huge issue here. That can't be correct, because we have been told multiple times that 911 was called as she was going on her way from her job, to home. So Alex Duggan reaches out to Brandy, allegedly. That's what Alex says, and go, can you clarify this? And then they were like, oh, yes, you're right. That's what I was saying is true. So that I thought was very interesting, to say the least. I want to see if I can pull up that article and the proof that I did ask to verify that. Let me look. Again, I do all of my research mostly on my phone, so I have to, those little things just pop up in my head. I will look for that. Somebody remind me, one of my mods, if they're even here, remind me to look that up. So, to answer your question, Hellcat, the Chevron is right by Highway 30 and 95. Or right below 95 and 84. Like right where it meets, like right above it. By Campbell Tractor Company. All right.
Search and rescue was there, police, everything.
But how did you know they were looking for Michael?
Because so when we were pulling into the subdivision, Sarah was driving the pickup, and she stopped and talked to the neighbor that was coming down the road the opposite way.
Mm-hmm.
And she stopped right there in the middle of the road, and they both opened their doors and they started talking to each other right there.
Okay. And you told me you never seen Michael Vaughan before in your life prior.
Right. I never met him or his parents ever before. I just know that they're neighbors of where I was staying over there with the Wanderers. They live like diagonal.
Yeah. What about the okay. Yeah, I got so many questions. All right. So Adrian, where's he from?
So JLR bounces, and I wish he would have stuck with this because this is very important. They're coming into the neighborhood and stopping somewhere on Southwest 8th because another neighbor is saying, hey, do you know, have you seen this little boy? And there's two theories I'm going to come at this with. First, he's telling the truth because there's cameras that can prove this, y'all. So you know how there was the Honda Pilot and the Dodge Avenger that was captured, or I think it's Charger Avenger. Slipped my mind. But there's cameras. That's the camera that caught it. Okay? There's also cameras per Brandy Neal that I have on recording. Hello, ma'am. Excuse me. She's saying that there is cameras at the corner of Southwest 8th. See that ring door camera? This is September 2021. I did find out though that they did all of the recording roughly in July, the end of July. I just don't know the date. We're not going to know that. So this is pretty accurate. All right. So that would capture everything. The cameras over here would capture it. And I'm sure that there was others that could confirm, other cameras that could confirm. I actually do believe that this very interesting house has cameras on this garage on the other side. Let me see. I'm almost positive I saw cameras right here. All right, so there's that. And there's also cameras on the Allstate. I think this is Allstate building. So there's so many places that could confirm or deny this stuff. And the other thing that I was going to say is if it doesn't, let's just say the cameras just only captured certain things or something wasn't working, whatever. Okay. Where did he stop at would be very crucial. Where did he stop at on Southwest 8th? Where did they stop at, rather? If he's telling the truth, did he stop by Southwest 8th where the neighbor backs up onto Monkey's house? So I'll show you what I'm talking about. If they were to stop right here and talk to a neighbor, depending on what time it is, and let's just say nobody caught anything, which I highly, highly doubt. If they stopped right here, could they have potentially, let's just say, hit Michael on accident? So let's say they were confirmed to be on camera, but no cameras right at this point. Michael was on a scooter, on a trike, whatever, just a hypothesis, or just walking and loses his flip-flop and struggles, and they hit him, but they're high as a kite, or they don't know what to do. They're scared, whatever. Was it right here that they stopped at? It would be great to know exactly where they stopped, right? I don't know. Did they stop right here? Did they stop down here? Right? Did they stop way down here? And potentially. I don't think that theory that he was hit holds any merit because personally somebody would hurt it. There's plenty of people around that would at least see or hear something. Right? There had to have been. Apparently, like Brandy said, every 30 to 45 seconds, there's a car that comes in and out of that neighborhood. Does that make sense? So if that's the case, somebody would have seen something, and I highly doubt that they would go that. I mean, it's possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Julia says, wonder why a neighbor would be out searching in his car and not walking, right? Well, I mean, maybe he was already walking when, or getting into his car when he saw it on Facebook. I mean, people look at their Facebook while they're driving. You can say they don't, but they do, right? They were filming a YouTube video with music in a car crash scene. Yeah, that is the only thing that I hold on to right there, Birdie. The only thing that I hold on to that maybe, just maybe he was, or somebody did it and they know and they're helping him or her or them, whatever it may be. So that could be a potential. They did have a taxi business. They were a taxi service. If you wanted to help cover up something or get rid of something without, knowledge, you wouldn't call Uber because of the camera situation, but you would want maybe like a third party kind of situation, or a local like Faith Taxi LLC to maybe pick you up. Right. So it would be very interesting and very important to see if Stacy Wandra left that house, or another person like the Hispanic with the J name was driving the taxi. Does that make sense? Nene says, I'm listening very intently to this while trying not to let the soothing voice put me to sleep. I've heard that so many times. Thank you for being here, Nene. Hey, Sasha. All right. I really want to know, though, if he, or they rather, Sarah and Brandon, stopped around this area. Because if they did get geofencing data that shows that they may have stopped there, either one, they could have picked him up, or two, it makes it look like they did when they were really just talking to somebody. But it looks suspicious, and I can't deny that. You cannot deny that. All right.
I think he's from California somewhere.
So, but how did he get up there? Like, how did he end up there in Idaho?
He just flew in from California to come see his son and his old girlfriend or whatever.
But where did Sarah meet him? Like, how does she know him?
I don't know. I think he just randomly called their phone one day from the airport and said, can you give me a ride from here to there or whatever? And that's probably how those two met.
Yeah, because, obviously, Sarah, according to this arrest affidavit, she's claiming that this Adrian guy helped bury Michael in her yard. That's what she said, according to the arrest affidavits, or the neighbors. She also said the neighbor's yard, too.
Right.
So people are wondering, who's Adrian?
Yeah, he's just some kid that came here from California for a little bit to visit his son and his old girlfriend.
Did he get arrested at all?
No, he didn't get arrested or talked to or nothing.
So how long was he there at their house for?
He was only there.
So they said that he did get talked to. He did get talked to, arrested, or nothing, which means to me, Adrian is actually the low-bearing fruit in all of this, because he was just the outsider coming in. But Brandon could be full of shit. I don't know. Maybe they did talk to him, but they for sure talked to him by December of 2022 because JD Huff said so. Right?
There for a week up to 2 weeks tops.
After Michael went missing.
After Michael went missing, I'm pretty sure he was there for a couple days after that as well.
Okay, so he was there about a week and a half prior to Michael being missing. Then Michael went missing, and then a couple days later, he goes back to California.
I think so, yeah.
Do you know where in California?
I have no idea.
You're in a hot tub. I see you're in a hot tub. What's that, the North Dakota life?
Dana Point. I know.
Yeah, that's the North Dakota life, trying to stay warm out here right now.
Yeah. Interesting. So interesting. Now, did you know that, Stacy had, crazy criminal record in the past of being in the feds and locked up and all that kind of stuff? Did you know that?
Yes, sir. Yeah, he talked to me previously before that, and he said that he got locked up for, a year or two because he lied on a federal application to buy a gun or something at a store.
So you've seen him with guns. Like, why would he still have guns if he already got arrested for it? Did he just not care? Or?
I think that was it or something. Because at first he said, "Hey, I know that you're not a felon and you can have guns. Do you want me to try to find you a gun?" And I said, "No, I already have a gun. I don't need to get."
So this was not Stacy Wandra's first time selling a gun, knowing that he should not have. All right. For instance, I just want everybody to be aware. In Billings, Montana, in 2018, he was arrested and then later on pled guilty to falsifying a statement during a firearms transaction. 2018 or 2017, excuse me. Nope. Let me rephrase that. Sorry. Wander was charged in Gallatin County on December 2017 with felony burglary and was released on conditions, including he not possess a firearm. On March 14th, he bought one at a pawn shop in Livingston, Montana. On the paperwork for the transaction, he answered no to whether he was under indictment or information for any felony charges. You cannot apply or you cannot lie about those things. They take it very seriously. And he did. So he was under investigation, and maybe he thought, I don't need to. I'm Stacy Wander. I don't have to do nothing they tell me. Because allegedly from the person that helped take care of Stacy in the Montana, it was like one of those disability homes for adults, right? He said that Stacy was just defiant because he wanted to make people feel like he was a Billy Badass because of his deficiencies. Okay, so that's just what I know. Personal experience from this person who knew him or took care of him in the facility that he was at. Because he is technically not disabled necessarily, but has shortcomings. And then the Montana facility shut down because of a bunch of bullshit. And so they were kicked out and literally displaced overnight, which really sucks because that's maybe why we are here with Michael's case. All right. So they reported Stacy, a person being held captive with a gun at a motel. This is where it gets crazy. This was in 2018. Wandra and another person were hanging out at the motel, and others confirmed that the pair had been handling the pistol throughout the weekend. The two got into an argument in the motel room, and that's when law enforcement was called. Wander told officers he had purchased the gun a few days earlier. Then he went back to the pawn shop that same day and pawned the gun he had purchased 5 days earlier. So he's just making mistakes left and right. He did the exact same thing in this circumstance in April of 2022, where he got charged with federal gun charges. He just doesn't learn. The guy is entitled as hell. I'll say that. All right.
Another one, but if you are selling that other little 17 or whatever, I'll buy it if I get money from you guys paying me from doing taxiing. That was our first previous conversation.
Yeah. So yeah, I wonder why he was so interested in you getting a gun. Like why does he want others to get a gun? Is he like fascinated with guns?
Yeah, I think he comes from a background where like him and his grandpa used to hunt back in the day before he got in trouble. Like when he went out with other people that were responsible, he probably did some hunting.
So
he did do that.
Okay, so some people are saying.
So he did do that. And I know that because of his adoptive mother. The Facebook, she had like some testimonials about him before all of this went down. They kind of abandoned Stacy. I'm going to just say it. His adoptive mother totally dropped him like a bad habit. Actually had protective orders on Stacy after he got out of that facility, which is really sad. They denied those protective orders, or some of them rather. But anyway, they don't talk about him after, I think, this incident, the 2018 incident, 2019. So the funny thing is that because of his mental deficiencies and then him getting displaced overnight in Montana, it's like, damn, okay. So cut off all contact, blah, 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 blah. The grandfather who passed away was the only person that it seemed like there were pictures of Stacy when he was younger. And I do have those. It's really sad actually to see because it looked like he really loved Stacy and took care of him and was kind of a guiding figure. So this is true that they went hunting a lot. And maybe he thought that he was entitled to have these things because that's what they did. You know, he went hunting and you got to have guns to hunt. But too bad, sir. That was his mistake.
Saying that does Sarah have any kids that you knew of or had kids?
No, sir.
See, some people speculated that Michael.
Sarah Wander does have a daughter that she adopted out. I believe she is anywhere from 18 to 20 now. So she does have a daughter, but she gave her up for her own reasons. She was young.
If Sarah is involved and she got arrested, but people were speculating, hey, maybe Sarah did it because she wanted a kid on her own because she couldn't have kids, or what do you think?
Hold on just a second here. I'm in an interview right now, so I'm gonna have to do this real quick. I think that she couldn't have kids because her husband Stacy said that he got his nuts crushed in a bull riding rodeo accident or whatever. Blah blah blah. He said he used to bull ride and a bull stepped on his thing and crushed it, so he couldn't have him.
So
I don't know about all that, but I have an inkling from the information that I read on the mother's Facebook that there might be some validity to that. So
he couldn't.
Hey, Brooke, glad you're here.
Right, and he wanted a kid, and she really didn't.
Oh, she didn't want a child.
Yes, sir.
But you're saying that you were with Sarah all that day. You and Adrian, Michael. I mean, how do you like? Do you
was trying to push that on her?
So is it possible?
We don't need to know all
okay,
that.
So you're with Sarah, and you're with Adrian out or getting your car and bringing it back. Is it possible Stacy was home left alone and did something and maybe like went out and snatched Michael? I mean, how do you guys know about Stacy's whereabouts at the time?
I personally don't. So I'm saying that could be a possibility.
So Brandon states that Stacy is the only one that they don't really know, or he doesn't know the whereabouts during that day. I truly believe that Stacy was the one that sent in the tip. Right? I don't know if he sent it in. I don't know if they went to question Stacy and he said something, because in the leaked probable cause affidavit, it says they didn't know. Idaho statesmen were like, we don't know why they went to reach out to Stacy. So they slipped up there because they didn't leak the entire probable cause, which is sealed. It sounds to me like they went to question him in jail about something, and either he said something back to them or got in contact with police to say, oh, I remember, whatever. So I think that they went to him first. I really do. But that's just speculation.
Because there was no one else there with him, correct?
Right. Yes, sir.
But you're saying that you were with Sarah all that day. You and Adrian and Sarah were all together throughout that whole day, starting in the morning. And you didn't she didn't go off on her own or do anything?
No, I was with Sarah that whole day and Adrian. And then Stacy was left home alone.
Stacy was left home alone. What, there when you guys were out, what cars were there with Stacy?
I think he had his little Cadillac Escalade that he cruised around at that time.
What color was that?
It was a white one, an older one that he traded his pickup in for. That when that pickup started to have a couple issues, instead of getting it fixed, he just traded it in.
Yeah. See,
So it couldn't have been the green truck that I just showed y'all. It couldn't have been that one. Maybe it was this red one back here that I can barely, I can't, I can zoom in, but you really can't see it very well. But you see this right here, right there. Maybe it's a Chevy or something like that. Some old pickups. Maybe it was that one that they used to tow. I don't know.
Because he's left alone and no one else is there with him. I wonder if he ventured out. Yeah. Okay. For instance, when you guys got back, was he in the house?
Yeah, he was in there. He was in there on the couch. I'm pretty sure.
What was he doing?
Just watching TV.
Like he never even went anywhere.
Right.
Yeah, because he's left alone. It seems like you three have it. You guys are each other's alibi.
I don't think he went anywhere. Or if he did, he's not going to be able to, in my opinion, abduct a child or cover up a child being harmed in any way, like, for instance, hitting him with the car. I just don't see it. The man was pushing 450 pounds. No offense to, I'm not body shaming, but pushing 450 pounds around the time of Michael's disappearance. Only know that because of the records from around that time and his arrest. Because he was arrested on some probation violation for not paying a ticket or something before Michael went missing. All right. I just don't see it, but could be wrong.
I guess, and you're saying you did whatever throughout the day. And I appreciate you talking to me. I mean, like somebody that would be guilty wouldn't be telling all this in a sense, but, people just want answers.
Yeah, and I want answers too. I don't think Adrian did it, and I don't think Sarah did it. But Stacy, I know that sometimes he's lied to me and he's lied to others, and he says he'll do something and then he really don't do it. And I got after him about that, and I was trying to teach him that you're not supposed to do that in life, and then he'll get sometimes mad at me, So that's where my trail kind of ends, and that's where I'm kind of curious in my own head.
With Stacy.
With Stacy, I'd like to talk to him personally, and if he was here right now, I'd be talking with him and say, hey, I know you and me didn't. I know that you broke my watch, and you thought I wanted to steal your girl or this or that, but that was all accusations. It's not.
It's Mr. Steal Your Girl. Whoa.
True. I was just there to help you guys work, make a business, and pay the bills. That was my whole objective.
So he was accusing you of trying to get with Sarah?
Yes, sir. Like every day.
Every day. But he didn't kick you out of the house?
Every day.
Right, because she liked me a little bit because I was kind of the cool guy on the block, hanging out, trying to save the day.
Sarah was like, boo thing, we could have something special here because where's my beep beep? I'm still bad. After 2 years of being on this platform, I'm bad about cussing. Sorry, hold on. Where's my beep beep? Hey, boo thing. We could have something special because this mother sucks.
And he got a little bit jealous of it, and I wanted to kind of shut that down and say, hey, we're all friends. You keep your wife. You guys get along, and you guys stop doing that, kind of like a counselor or a mediator.
Was he ever did you ever see him do any violence?
No. He pretended to try to be a tough guy, try to do that kind of stuff, but he never did it when I was around.
He's a pretty big dude.
He's a heavy feller. He's like 450, 500 pounds.
So, I mean, if you see him
walking, I told you.
Does he get tired when he walks a short distance?
Yeah, that's true.
So it's interesting. So because he's left alone, you guys are out. Michael Vaughan goes missing around, we'll say 7 p.m. Yeah. And, what happened? Where was Starkey? Where was Carson Starkey?
I think he was driving for another company at that time because he was mad at Sarah and Stacy because they were kind of trying to give him a little bit of bluff or a little bit of grief. And he was like, you know what? I can go work somewhere else or be part of somebody else. I don't have to sit here and take your guys' nonsense.
So, interesting. What about the Cesar Garudo? What's the deal with him? Is he involved? Could he be involved? Was he around their house?
I know that he went to their house like one time. Other than that, me and Stacy went to his house one time, and he had a couple other friends over there, and they were just kind of hanging out and chilling with a couple other people.
So Cesar Garudo is allegedly the walking man. I don't believe it personally. It could be. Maybe. I don't know. The police, JD Huff or somebody, law enforcement, said that they have a pretty good idea who the walking man is. They didn't say who it was. But a lot of people think it is Cesar because of somebody confirming that they know the guy, and they were like, it looks just like the walking man. So I don't know. It could be. I don't think it is. I don't know. But this guy, so there was an incident where he had relations with somebody under, I think she was 16 years old. And he did get prosecuted recently for that. He was found guilty of that, but it had allegedly happened years ago, per the parents that JLR told me this, that it was from the parents confirmed this was years prior to Michael Vaughan's disappearance. So just know that it wasn't, not that it's okay. It is not okay. Absolutely not okay. But I wanted to clear that up because a lot of people thought that this lewd acts with the child was like somebody Michael's age, and it was not. So.
But Cesar was not around the house the time Michael went missing.
As best as I know, yeah, that's true.
Interesting. So you never seen Michael. Have you ever hear Sarah or Stacy talk about the Vaughns or mention the Vaughns or say anything?
Never once. Not even. The only time I heard them ever mention the Vaughns is when they stopped the car that day and they said, "Hey, there's somebody that's missing in the neighborhood. His name's Michael Vaughan. Do you guys know him or know where he went?" That was the first time that came up to my attention. And then, as far as I know, they both said, no, we don't know where he's at. Let's go help look for him from that point.
Interesting. Yeah. Man, I'm so scatterbrained here because it's just a mystery. It's a mystery.
It is. That's all it is right now at this point, yeah.
But you're assuring, like, if the Vaughns were watching right now, what would you say to Michael Vaughn's family?
I would say, don't lose hope. Keep your head up, keep your chin up, and know that he might still be out there somewhere because they never brought him into their house when I was there, not once. No little kids ever even came into that house, and I was there like a good majority of the time running a taxi business. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And the people that I knew that was there, they seemed like they were all right, decent people that weren't trying to do that. They were just trying to have normal, everyday lives, you know?
So what's your family think about what's going on? Did you tell them?
Yeah, I told them. The police and the detectives and everything, they've been at my mom's house since I've been gone doing like siding in Montana and stuff, trying to pay bills, and they're beside themselves and just scared and freaking out. Don't know what's happening, what's going on.
So do you feel like the detectives think you're involved, or they just want to ask you more about the Wanderers? What is the detectives' reasons of coming to you?
I think they want to find out more about like the Wanderers and their lifestyle, of how they are and what they do. And I'm probably the best guy to ask because I was there around them the most at that time.
Did you feel detectives think you did something, or was it, you know, were they hard on you and questioning? Were they making you feel like you're guilty of something?
Well, they were pretty stern. You know, they wanted to get to the bottom of it, and they kind of interrogated me, and they were pretty rough and, you know, aggressive with it. And I said, listen, guys, I didn't do it at all. And if they're saying that this happened and that they did it, they know more about it than I did, because when I was around them, they didn't act that way. So they're like, okay. And then from there, it's just been kind of like, they hit me hard, and I told them everything I know, and then it's been a stale fish, a standstill. And we're just trying to see like who all was even at that point in time in history.
So you're
Right. So they're questioning who was around. He just said it. They are wanting to know who was around them during Michael Vaughan's disappearance. They really want to know who all was around. And that's why they were questioning him so hard. And maybe the whole point of law enforcement to put their faces out on a poster, which is so not typical. It's not. I mean, you don't want to expose your full deck of cards on a poster board before you even have answers, right? So I feel like this is kind of like a glitz and glam show, that we're going after these four, when honestly, they're going after the information they potentially have to get to the real deal. Because those real dealers, it's very complicated, and they can't let them know that's what they're doing, right? I don't know what kind of tactic, if that's ever worked in the history of this shit, but it's very strange to me. So getting back to this person. So the Facebook, Sarah Wandra, it was an old one that was created again in, I want to say, yeah, she was in jail. Sarah Wandra was in jail at the time this was created, and that this friend request was sent. And the reason why I know that, again, is metadata. So this person right here, I'm not sure how they know each other. I haven't seen nothing to suggest that they have ever met or talked or crossed paths. However, this person is a real person. Very scary. Do not look at them. Do not contact. Person is in jail. lengthy record. And I'm not trying to blast this person, but here's what I do know. The people around this person right here, which I don't know anything about any involvement, but I do know that people around this person right here that you're looking at bombarded Faith Taxi Group, Facebook, asking questions around May of 2022, which is a very uniquely strange time, because I do believe that, after the April 2022 incident with the Tanner Butler dog bone looking ass stuff, Tanner Butler getting struck by a dog bone by Sarah, shit started going sideways. It was very, very interesting. And then all of a sudden people are asking questions about rates. They're asking questions about things that are obviously on their website, obviously something that you could just call and get information on. Canceling after saying, oh, I don't need the ride anymore after getting information. So her friends are doing that. People that she's close to that are from the area, Fruitland, Idaho. Why is that? Why are they all of a sudden all up in this in May of 2022? That is something that I would like to know. And I'm not going to put their names out there. I'm not going to, this is just speculation. I could be dead ass wrong that there's nothing suspicious about that. But to me, when you have people like Brandon getting arrested in May of 2022 from 1102 Red Wing, when you have Fancy, we're just going to call her Fancy, informant looking ass, getting arrested at 1102 Red Wing Street in May of 2022 from a tip-off to her probation officer. When you have a man named Randy Strickland, who is sitting up rent, paying rent to whom I do not know, in May of 2022, who had to get kicked out because Sarah could not get on her provisional release from the Tanner Butler bone-looking ass incident. Where are all these people coming from? Who are these people? Why are they setting up shop in a house where two people, the main resident, are in jail? And why are y'all there? That's what I want to know. And then right after all that, shit hits the fan. And now we have the babysitter of Michael Vaughan getting contacted by a lead detective asking, do you know this Stacy Wandra fella? Why does he have the picture? Chrissy Vaughn, Tyler Vaughn's sister, is saying that you sent him this directly. Is this true? And she's like, no, it was a public post. He got it from her, from the babysitter. So why is Chrissy Vaughn saying this shit to you? And this was in July of 2022, June or July. So they had been aware of Stacy and Sarah and all them at least that point. Probably in April of 2022 when the dog bone incident happened with Tanner. Was Tanner Butler around during Michael Vaughan's disappearance? Was he driving the taxi? Does he have any information? Does anybody that was arrested in May of 2022 have any information about who was actually there in July of 2021 when Michael Vaughan disappeared? So I think this is why police are saying it's so intricate and so weird. And it's very crucial, right, to keep things close to the vest, because there's a lot of shady people. Not that Sarah or Stacy, maybe, I can't speak for Stacy, but Sarah Wandra is sitting in court saying, I don't know who this Randy Strickland guy is sitting up in my house. Apparently he said that he was told it was okay to stay there for rent. Who's paying rent and to who? Who allowed that? Right? And it's not just that. There's other people that have gone in and out of that home, because I do believe that they were just allowing people to stay there like a Airbnb on the down low for money, because these people struggled for money all the time. But the people around them were not good. And I think that's why maybe Brandon was so, was pinpointed on because he's the only one talking. And he's the only one that knows probably the intricacies of who was in and out of that house because he had access to that house anytime he wanted to. He was driving the taxis and he stayed there a lot, right? So, yeah, who was squatting, Brooke? Who was squatting in the house? And why did all of this come to light? And what did Stacy say to police to make them excavate that yard? And what remains did they... I mean, this is where my mind goes, and it's really, really sucky because I don't want to go this route, but potentially, could somebody have placed something in that home while they were gone for the excavation to happen? Like, could that evidence be planted potentially? I don't know. It's a very rocky thought process. Right? Right, Chris? Juanita? Crimin? I don't know. Maybe they need to be looking into painting this in a different light and on a different rock, maybe. Because the rock isn't very shiny. So here, I'm going to wrap it up because I'm way over time. But this is in that Michael Vaughan group that nobody is allowed into besides specific people that were chosen, I guess. Because I was kicked out. A lot of people were kicked out at one point. So Lori says, as mothers, we always want to believe our kids are the best, and some can't see past that. I'm not bashing her for standing by her kid, but we all know Brandon is not some special kind helping person. As if they know him. I don't even know him. Hell, he is a drug user, drinker, and hangs out with the wrong people. And that looks to be true. There's a reason why he is living in blah, 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 blah. Here's what Tina, Brandon Shurtliff's mother, says. Both Brandon and I have spoken to law enforcement repeatedly. They have searched my home with their dogs and found nothing. Unfortunately, they are the ones not telling the whole truth. I don't know who they is. I think it's law enforcement. Brandon knows nothing about the missing child, but they are still making these allegations. Brandon is speaking to them. He is not running or hiding because Brandon does not know anything. It's very sad what gossip and lies will do to an individual. So this, I don't know exactly what date it was, but I believe it was in January or February. Tina has also reached out or responded to the news about what's going on. And she was like, they alerted to my leaky toilet in a crawl space, blah, 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 blah. I don't know the ins and outs of that. They are saying that dogs don't alert to feces. I can tell you I've seen it myself during EchoCert searches, only because they're dogs and that's what dogs do. Because it does, they're going to go to, oh, this person was alive. It's shit, okay? Oh, this person is alive. Let's sniff it and see if it's the one that I'm looking for. It doesn't mean that they're alerting to it necessarily, but I have seen them, go to poop. It's just the way of it. So I don't know if she misunderstood that. I'm just saying, y'all, that's the reality. So she was in this group, this Michael Vaughan group. Very interesting. But you know what's really, really interesting is that Tanner Butler, the dog bone incident from April of 2022, the reason why, part of the reason that started Sarah Wandra serving prison time right now. I want to make it clear that she is the reason why she's in there, but he was the one that called the 911 call on her because he wouldn't get out of her house. So maybe that's where it came from. And how do we know Tanner Butler is cleared LaWanda Westbrook? I don't know about that. All right.
Hard on you and questioning? Were they making you feel like you're guilty of something?
Well, they were pretty stern. They wanted to get to the bottom of it, and they kind of interrogated me, and they were pretty rough and aggressive with it. And I said, listen, guys, I didn't do it at all. And if they're saying that this happened and that they did it, they know more about it than I did because when I was around them, they didn't act that way. So they're like, okay. And then from there, it's just been kind of like they hit me hard, and I told them everything I know, and then it's been a standstill, and we're just trying to see like who all was even that point in time in history.
So you're not nervous at all? Are you nervous about being arrested at all or anything?
Yeah, that definitely crosses my mind every day, and I know that if I go back to Idaho, I'll be arrested immediately, and they're going to talk about me about my marijuana charges, probably do 20, 30 days in jail myself if I go back, and then from there.
So you have pending charges in Idaho?
Yeah, I have pending charges in Idaho just from probation and like possession of marijuana, and that's what I was in trouble with those guys for before.
I appreciate
But,
your honesty with that. Appreciate your
yeah.
honesty. So you're not going to go back in there and try to settle it, or do you think they're going to extradite you, try to scoop you up there where you're at?
I think for now it's just a basis of I need to get back to work and get some money because I still owe them money on those charges.
Yeah.
So I kind of just came here trying to get to work because the other people I was working for, it was hard to get paid and pay all my bills on time. So I'm just trying to find a solution to make it peaceful for everyone and kind of find out what's going on here and get to the bottom of it. That's what's on my mind right now.
Did detectives ask you about any other names besides the Wanderers? They say any names?
The biggest names that are coming up right now on this is Stacy, Sarah, Adrian, that
Garudo.
Yeah, Cesar Garudo and me, and I think that's it from that very day.
No mention of Starkeys.
The Starkeys, I know that they had previous charges from stuff, whatever they did in their life before.
Okay, so I want to pinpoint that I think that he had one more person to say. He didn't though. That's just my opinion.
I don't even know, but yeah, they said I think that so I'm just trying to find a solution to make it peaceful for everyone and kind of find out what's going on here and get to the bottom of it. That's what's on my mind right now.
Did detectives ask you about any other names besides the Wanderers? They say any names?
The biggest names that are coming up right now on this is Stacy, Sarah, Adrian, that
Garudo.
Yeah, Cesar Garudo and me, and I think that's it from that very day.
No mention of Starkeys.
It is interesting though that Cesar Garudo, the one that I was talking about, that's was put in jail for the lewd acts charge in Canyon County, I believe, or maybe it was Washington, one of those. But was Cesar there that day?
The Starkeys, I know that they had previous charges from stuff, whatever they did in their life before. I don't even know, but yeah, they said that they went to their house and asked them. They asked Mr.
Spot. But so again, I would really like to know a few things. Who is this Randy? Who is the Randy guy? Who is the Jay guy that was around during the disappearance of Michael Vaughan, who allegedly was driving the taxi? What car was he driving? Right? Why was Fancy getting arrested? Why was Brandon arrested? Why were all these people staying at this house when the owners were in? Well, not the owners, but Sarah and Stacy were in jail. And did they know? Did Stacy know? Did Stacy know more? So Stacy, in my opinion, and Brandon are definitely the two most important in this scenario. It just doesn't make sense to me that Brandon would do this interview saying, here's where we were that day, when it could be either proven or disproven, right? And then you have Tina, his mother, saying it's law enforcement that's not being truthful. We've been cooperating. He has been talking to police. He has nothing to do with this, da, 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 da. A lot of people, I think, are too afraid to say that this doesn't sound right and that they're not understanding. Like, they just want to say, go get them and arrest them for what? I get what you're trying to do. Like, the supporters are trying to, like the mass supporters, right? To get these people in jail for whatever, I don't know. You got to have the evidence, first of all. JD Huff said he had enough to arrest Stacy Wandra, and they haven't. They haven't arrested him. He's in prison right now. I just don't know. Brooke, it's okay. Like, see, here's what I think. Brooke hates to admit that Brandon sounds legit. I agree with about 90% of it, but there is some shit that I think, is either misinformed or wrong, right? Or lying. And it's hard to know which one that is when we don't know shit about where this is going. Are arrests going to be made soon? Mike Duke, Fayette County prosecutor. We're going to charge it. Well, what does it mean? You charge people, not it's, not things. You charge people for crimes. And is that going to be another year? Because they always say that. Charges are coming soon. And here we are with no charges. One was dropped. And it's almost a year later. The 3 year is coming up for both Summer and Michael. It's very frustrating. Who else is going to be on the chopping block where we have to go over their information to see if they're legit or not? Like, we really do need Fayette County to do better, and law enforcement to be more transparent with their community more so than anybody, because they're having to live in this too, right? And that's where I'll stop it. Next live, we're really going to deep dive into the timelines that I wrote down. We're going to finish the interview and then go into what's possible and what's not from what he's saying they were at that day, right? And then also compare it to, guess what? Police records. Who was there? Who was here? Who was there? Who got pulled over that day? What suspicious circumstances were called in on this day, that day, this time? Does it have anything to do with anybody at 1102 Red Wing Street? Does it have anything to do with anybody that knows people or whatever around Monkey's house? Neighbors? We will see, guys. All right. As I say, drink your water, hug yourself, your babies, your fur babies, your grandbabies. Let's get our missing persons some justice. And I will see you on the next live. Have a happy Halloween, guys. Much love.